welcome to this week's edition of Gaming News Weekly with your hosts, me, I'm Rich, and my good friend, Tabs. Say hello, mate.
Hello, mate.
Genius.
Riffing on you last week.
Yeah, like it. So as usual, we've got three main stories to go through this week that we've picked from the news out there, and then we'll have a roundup of everything else right at the end. But we're going to start this week, as we always do, by talking about what we've been playing this week. So, Tabs, what have you been playing this week?
It's multiplayer madness for me, mate. So it's really just been Rocket League, bit of Call of Duty. That's it. Have to touch base a couple of times with Pro Evolution Soccer, the Master League. But apart from that, nothing else. I'm currently debating whether I should buy Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, as we'll come on to in the first story, because reception is good. It's just fitting it in. It's just going to be time. I want to do it justice. There's no point in buying it if it's just going to sit on the shelf for a few months. So we shall see. But what about yourself, mate? Probably a similar story. Busy week for you?
Yeah, it's been crazy. I've been so busy, just not had that much time to game. Played a little bit of Rocket League, especially at the weekend. But I don't think I've really played anything since then, really. Bit of a quiet one for me this week, unfortunately. I feel like I'm in that scenario where there's no games which I'm really desperate to play at the moment. Although I've got games I can play, and there's nothing that's really grabbed me at the moment. I'm really enjoying playing Rocket League, but it's not one I want to go and spend some hours playing. I feel like I really want an adventure game or something. So I think possibly for me, Ratchet and Clank might be that next grab game sort of thing. So we'll see on that one. But yeah, should we head on into the news, Tabs?
Yeah, onward.
So we're going to start this week with Ratchet and Clank review roundup. Currently sits at an 89 on Meta score, its Metacritic score, and we're going to just run through a few people and what their scores are. So I'm going to begin with Gaming Bible, gave it 100. I can thoroughly recommend Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart 2. Well, anyone. This is the sort of game that everyone can play and enjoy, and although it's a shooter through and through, it's not violently graphic, and the storyline is light-hearted and easy to get along with. The world, characters and gameplay are all gorgeous. It's maybe the most impressive game I have ever played. Wow. I look forward to the future of Ratchet and Clank and Rivet, and Insomniac's plans for the trio. Wow, praise indeed.
Big time. Next up, we've got Game Rant, who gave it a 90. So they said it's visually striking, mechanically sound and diverse, and it takes advantage of the bells and whistles tied to the new platform. Some might be disappointed by the story, but overall, the dimension-hopping adventure is exactly the type of fun-loving experience that Insomniac games have been delivering since the very beginning. At a time where there aren't a lot of games highlighting the power of next-gen, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart shows the next big leap for gaming.
Wow.
Again, great praise.
Yeah. And The Guardian gave it an 80, and they said, humour has always been a defining feature of Ratchet and Clank, right back to its origins on the PlayStation 2, but it doesn't try too hard. It's funny in a laid-back, undemanding way, and the story is similarly easy to digest. Rift Apart did not exactly challenge me, but it's entertained me immensely. It's just such a lot of fun and so gorgeous I still can't quite believe it. If this is an indication of how the new generation of consoles can infuse familiar feeling games with new wonder, we're in for a great few years. Wow. So, I mean, you can see, praise indeed for this game. I mean, 100 out of 100. I mean, I'm not thinking it's a perfect game, but it's got some really good, and this is a bit of a surprise for me. I mean, we were talking, 2-3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, that not really sure this is one that's going to be for me, but with these scores and how good it looked on the recent state of play, I'm really looking forward to this. I think this is going to be a lot of fun to play, and it looks gorgeous to boot. What do you make of this, Tabs?
Yeah, I think when we think about the last game we really kind of played as a PS5, as a truly next-gen PS5 experience, that's probably Demon Souls, wasn't it?
Mm.
So this probably comes in quite nicely in terms of Demon Souls was that kind of challenging, grindy experience that you really had to push on. It's quite exhausting. Where this looks like a decent antidote to that, because they're saying it's not particularly challenging. Graphical tour de force, however, And it's quite light. There's a lot of humour in it. Just a bit of a romp, it sounds like. So I think, it sounds like a really nice experience, and everybody's heaping praise on what a showcase it is. And I've got that FOMO of missing out on the new next gen experience. So
when is it out? Is it out this Friday?
This Friday, I think. Yeah, tomorrow for us, or today for you, BArcadians.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we're filming this on a Thursday, as we would say. I mean, I'm not going to go out and pre-order it because I'm not going to have time to play it this weekend. But yeah, maybe during the weekend I'll give it an order and we'll press on with it next week, maybe.
Yeah, this is it. I think maybe do the old have a watch of some stuff on YouTube. I know there's a few YouTubers I follow that tend to do the old Let's Plays. Might just give us a bit of insight and see. It's obviously a shooter, but I don't mind that. I think that'll be. I'm up for a shooter.
To be fair, from the gameplay reveals we've seen from it, it looks like there is some depth in the combat. Like there is, some skill to it. It's not just a hack and slash. I realise it's a shooter, but you know what I mean. So, yeah, I think it could be very good and certainly fill a hole because we're not blessed with a plethora of titles at the moment to play, so it could just fill that hole.
I think it's going to be that kind of perfect Friday, Saturday night experience. When you come to a long week and you want to put on a movie, don't you? That's not too much effort, that just kind of takes you on a story, but you don't have to think too hard about it. It feels like it's going to be that sort of a game, a romp that you don't have to think too hard about. That's really fun. And to be honest, it's probably what I need right now. So maybe I should. But my friend, shall I shift us on to story number 2?
Go for it, brother.
So Battlefield 2042 Risky Play is the headline. So courtesy of Eurogamer, this article, and it says, after a string of rumours, whispers and leaks, EA has finally lifted the veil of the latest Battlefield, seeing the flagship first-person shooter moving away from the historical setting of recent entries to a near-future backdrop. And this year's model, subsequently called Battlefield 2042, is a breakaway from other recent traditions. It'll also do away with a single-player campaign, and there are no plans for an accompanying Battle Royale mode. Battlefield 2042 will instead focus on its multiplayer offering, supporting 128 players on PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S and X, while PlayStation 4 and Xbox One versions of the game support 64 players. There will also be the option of playing against AI bots, either solo or with a squad of friends. EA and DICE used the Battlefield reveal to lift the lid on the traditional series modes Conquest and Breakthrough, both of which come under the All-Out Warfare banner, with a new squad-based mode called Hazard Zone due for more exposure further down the line, and with a third as-yet undisclosed mode being made by DICE LA that's due to be shown off for the first time at next month's EA Play event. So Rich, I'm not a big Battlefield veteran. I've only just dabbled with COD really, but I think the gist of what this saying is they've obviously omitted a single player mode, which seems a bit of a risky play in some ways. I'm sure there'll be fans who'll be disappointed by that. They're omitting as well a battle royale, which again goes against trends we see out there with these types of games. They're also wielding that they're trying to straddle cross-gen, which is interesting. And it sounds like they're setting up what will hopefully be their kind of also games as a service for the next gen version of Battlefield. It's hard to say, but I suppose I admire their courage, that they're trying to break away from some of the trends, some of the norms, some of the successes we've already seen, because you've got to be brave, haven't you, if you're going to capture a new market and breed success on your own 2 feet. But I don't know. What do you make of it? Do you think it's got a good chance of doing well?
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, it's sort of, I don't know, there'll be people out there that buy these games solely to play the single player, the campaign modes. There'll definitely be people like that. And, if I was into these kind of games, that would be one of the reasons I would be buying them, because I find playing games online and not being a very accomplished gamer, there is a barrier to entry. You tend to feel like you're not doesn't make you feel great about gaming when everyone's just killing you. So I sort of feel like if that is you and that's one of the things you do, then you're going to be disappointed with this. And I do think it seems weird that they wouldn't put a battle royale mode in there. That seems like a must, like for current generation games. And in terms of the setting, does it really matter? I mean, it will still be a good game for what it does. So does it matter whether it's set in the future or the past? I don't know. It gives more scope to do something different, which is cool, different technology, different kit to play around with. So I don't know. I'm not sure what to make of this.
I suppose we should just say let's hope that EA don't do their bastardizing ways and absolutely, monetize the heck out of it and on the franchise, because, whenever they're involved, that tends to be the way things go, doesn't it? So fingers crossed, for all the fans of the series, it's going to be a stellar entry in the franchise anyway.
Agreed.
But Rich, should we start to talk about some other bits and pieces? We've got another big story actually, which could have mass appeal out there with a lot of technology in short supply at the moment.
Absolutely. So semiconductors semi-sorted, and this comes from Eurogamer. Over the past few months, a global semiconductor shortage has constrained the supply of countless different products, from F-150s and Ford Broncos to Nintendo Switch, PS5, Xbox Series X consoles, with few signs that the shortage will ease on its own. The US government is now one step closer to implementing legislation aimed at alleviating the constraints and improving the availability of the chips. Called the US Innovation and Competition Act, the bill passed the Senate this week with unusual bipartisan support. 68 senators voted for the bill compared to 38 against, easily clearing the 60-vote threshold necessary to avoid the filibuster. The bill allocates $52 billion for the semiconductor industry alone, in addition to an array of other investments in the technology industry. Over $200 billion is directed at technology initiatives in total. The semiconductor shortage has been felt particularly acutely by PC gaming space, as those looking to build new PCs or buy PCs pre-built ones have had to contend with skyrocketing price and extensive scarcity of GPUs and CPUs. The bill, if passed into law, may help with these constraints by focusing on building up semiconductor production capacity in the United States. Today, the vast majority of semiconductors are made in foundries in Southeast Asia. So I think this can only be seen as a good thing. We know that it's a big problem with these semiconductors, and I've read a few articles which suggested that this semiconductor shortage is going to be quite some time before it gets sorted, because although there are rumours about bills passing, and this is obviously one of the things that's now come out, you can't just magic a semiconductor factory up. It doesn't happen. It takes months, even years, to get a semiconductor factory up and running. So although this is a brilliant scheme and it really shows that we're going to move forward with this, I think we're not going to see a great deal of difference in terms of the supply of products that use semiconductors for some time, possibly even till maybe late next year, which is a worrying thought indeed. What do you make of this, Tabs?
Yeah, I think it's smart, isn't it, for the world economy, because as it says at the end there, if the vast majority of them are made in foundries in Southeast Asia, well, yeah, I mean, if anything happens economically or in the markets of Southeast Asia, it's going to cause a bottleneck, isn't it? It's going to affect the whole world. So surely having more, ability to produce these semiconductors, at least in the long term, is only a good thing. I'm sure there's politics involved though, in terms of economies and markets trying to compete with one another, US and Asian markets. But yeah, I mean, fingers crossed it's the start of sorting everything out, because yeah, I mean, I think they are the future, aren't they? Semiconductors, it's technology that's going to rule the world in many ways. So
I mean, weirdly, we've been speaking in the last few days about, is the Switch Pro now being affected, or the announcement or the release of a Switch Pro, is that now being affected by the semiconductor thing? Have releases of games fallen by the wayside, additionally due to the lack of install base of, say, PS5s and Xbox Series X's because of the shortage of actual consoles because of the semiconductors. This is potentially having a very widespread effect in the industry, all over the world. So, yeah, definitely something needs to be done, and this is a step in the right direction.
It's interesting. I think PS5, mate, Sony, I think they've even redesigned the internal architecture of the PS5 to somehow make it easy to produce.
Yeah, is that to do with the Wi-Fi? There's something about the Wi-Fi chip or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I thought it was affected by the semiconductor thing again, which, is just crazy that they're actually redesigning the architecture already just to try and squeeze a few more out of the door.
This is it.
But yeah, I mean, suffice to say, we'll always find a way, and in a way it's nice to see us innovate and figure out a way around problems like this. But at the same time, it feels like at this point it's definitely a hurdle to progression, to pushing forward with technology and our inventions and revolutions. So yeah, I think it needs to be sorted for the long term, and it sounds like the US are taking the bull by the horns in that respect.
Absolutely. Right, should we do everything else?
Let's rattle it off, my friend.
Right, I will get us underway. So Guardians of the Galaxy game will apparently be unveiled at E3 in a few days' time, which is very cool.
Wow, yeah, we're going to see, aren't we, Rich? I'm sure a slew of kind of movie, film adaptations into video games. We've talked about it in recent weeks. I'm ready for it. Hopefully they're decent.
Oh, yeah, although let's hope they're not like the Avengers video game.
Yeah, that's fingers crossed. I don't think they can afford to make them rubbish anymore. They need to nail that down if they want it to be an ongoing model. Anyway, next up, Capcom E3 2021 showcase will focus on Monster Hunter and Resident Evil. Interesting, hadn't seen that.
And on the back of that, Resident Evil 9 will apparently have the longest development journey of any game in the series, which is really interesting.
Yeah, what does that mean? Is it going to be a monster of a game?
Possibly, yeah. Possibly.
A Naughty Dog standalone multiplayer game is in the works. Wow.
I thought you'd like that one.
Last of Us multiplayer, that one they talked about, do you think?
Yeah, but then why would you not just do that as a bolt-on to Last of Us? As opposed to, if it's a standalone game, that suggests that it's going to be a new, not necessarily a new IP or something different, isn't it? Because otherwise...
Sell more PS5s, mate. Sell more PS5s, make more money. Cut it out as a full release.
Fair dues. And then finally this week, we've got Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time remake won't be shown at E3 or launch this year, which I personally think is very good news, because the last time we saw it, it was looking rough and looked like it needed plenty more time in the oven.
That suggests development hell, doesn't it, mate?
Yeah.
Like they're literally taking it straight back to, the metal, so to speak, to perhaps build it from the ground up again. It's sad in a way, but I think, like you said.
It looked rubbish though. I'm sorry, but it looked really rubbish.
Sorry if you're a developer of that game and you put your heart and soul into it.
Oh mate, don't worry, they're not watching this.
That's true. That's very true.
Oh dear. Right, that's it.
Another week done, mate.
Indeed, yeah. Just they seem to rattle through at the moment. But anyway, we hope you've enjoyed tonight's show. If you have, do drop us a like down below and get on there if you are new here, and subscribe and click that bell for notifications. As always, if you want to discuss any of the points we've just spoke about, drop down in the comments, leave us a comment, and we'll always try and respond to all comments. We love a bit of engagement. And I think that's all we've got time for this week. Another one for the archive.
Stamped and completed.